Hi there, it's Karen here from Turquoise Treasures. Welcome back to my channel and to part 2 of working on this file folder folio. So I thought I'd just carry on from where we left off last time, of course. And so we just made the basic shape in the last video. So you've got the base of it. So now we're going to decorate the outside. And then we'll start working on the inside, whether that'll be this video or the next one. I don't know where, depends how we go in this one. So the first piece I want to work on, but mainly we're going to be working on this outside area. And the first piece I want to do is the folio front closure, which is this one here. Now on the one I showed you that I've already made, I put a decorative piece of paper on first, and then I added this piece of ephemera, which I did actually size up a bit to make it big enough to work just as a decorative closure. And I just did a little bit of layering up just to make it look a little bit more interesting. And that's the same as on the other one as well. I also used a piece of ephemera for this piece. So decorative paper first, then ephemera on top, and that's definitely an option. But because of the kit I'm using, I actually thought this lady would make a perfect closure piece. So it wouldn't be a piece of ephemera, it's actually part of the original pattern paper. So I have gone ahead and cut round her, and as you can see I think it works quite well. I just need to cut it possibly a bit more, cut it down a little bit more along the side and across the top, but I think she makes a perfect decorative closure, and I think she's just going to be lovely there. So all I need to do, because it's a little bit flimsy, although I mean it's a little thicker, as I mentioned in my previous video, a little bit thicker than copy paper, but not strong enough to be working as a closure. And on the other one where I had an ephemera, I did actually back those pieces of ephemera onto cardstock, and I'm going to do the same, but I'm going to back the whole piece onto some cream cardstock. So I've just got that here. So I think what I need to do first is to cut this to size. I think that makes the most sense. So I'm just going to mark where I want to cut it. So I'll have to make it just a tiny bit smaller than the backing piece. So just cut that there. Put that down here. Just move that over a moment. Just make sure that's straight. It isn't quite. There it is. And then I just need to decide whether I want to trim it off at the side here, whether it's actually a little bit, I don't want it sticking out too far, because then there'll be too much pressure on this piece if it's too sticking out, particularly on this piece here. Even if it's backed, it might be, I might round this off a little bit, just because that might be a bit vulnerable, sticking out quite so far. Let's see, where would I like it? I think I'll just bring it back that little bit. And I'll just mark it there and then trim that off as well. So let's just put this, just as warning, I think I can feel a sneeze coming. So it's not quite there yet, but it might just suddenly come upon me. No, I think it's passed. Right. Some little scraps. I'll just put them aside just in case I need them at some future time. Right, so I think I'm happy with the size of that now. And then I'll just have to have something coordinating behind here, but I already know what I'm going to put there. I think that will be nice. Yeah. She's so beautiful. She's got to feature on the front. I think it makes sense. Whoops! There goes my glue. Okay, cut that bit out. Okay. And I'm going to use my tacky glue. This is, what's it, Anita's tacky glue. I decided it works quite well for these larger pieces. It's easier to work with this than with a glue stick, I find, on these larger areas when you're covering a big piece of paper. Just going to stick that on here. That's it. Okay. Okay. That seems to have marked a little bit, but I'll be cutting all that off anyway. So I shall cut round. I'm going to round that off a little bit, I think. And just give it a little, just a little bit of a border, I think. And then I'll ink it up a little bit. I might just cut around the whole thing first. Makes it a bit easier than trying to manipulate a very large piece of card. Pop that in there. Right. Now, don't need quite such a big border around there. And right, get rid of these bits. These are not bits I need to keep. Alright, so she's just nicely trimmed around. I'm just going to trim this off a little bit here because I don't need a border all the way around. I just want a little bit of a border at around her, really. Just trim that off. Now I'm just going to ink it with my Victorian Velvet. Okay. Right. So let's hope that this is going to fit nicely. Let's just check it out. There we are. So I think what I'll do, I'll mark where that has to, well, I have to take the glue to. Where's the, so I don't glue the bits that are sticking out. Does that need to stick out? Actually, that does not need to stick out there, does it? So I think what I'm going to do see. Does it need to stick out all the way across? I'm just trying to think. I think I want to cut it in a little bit. I don't want it sticking out all the way around. Right. I need a couple of paper clips. I think I might just trim it a bit more. Okay, paper clips are not cooperating. I get a couple that are not linked together. Right. That's my method of trimming it to size. Clip it on and then draw around it. I think that's too high. Bring it down a touch. That's it. All fingers and thumbs this morning. Get it the right way around, that's it. Make it easier for myself. There we go. Want it straight. I want it. I've got to make sure this is in the right position before I start trimming it. It's a little... Oh. Right. That's about right. So now I want to just trim around here. Let's see. Actually, a hat. Where does a hat come? See that where that mark is now. That's it. I'm just going to trim that top piece off. And just trim around there. Right. Okay. So I'm just going to ink that bit that I've just cut round. There we are. Okay. Stick this piece on, because we've got one more magnet we will need to add, and we can't do that until we put this piece on. Right, let's put this on. Make sure I've got it central, same top and bottom, and straight. And give it a good squish. Spread the glue out. Just slightly travelling up a little bit at the I think that's about right. Oh, it's moving again. Come on. Okay, let's just smooth it down from the other side. A bit of glue poking out. Then eventually that will all be covered, but don't want it messing things up in the meantime, do we? Let's get rid of that. That's all squished out a little bit. Okay. So we have that, and she's like that. But we need to make sure that this clips here as well. I'm trying to think where's the best place to put the other magnet. Now, we could put one here. Could almost put two more on really, because she's so tall. I'm half tempted to put another one here and one here, just to make sure the whole thing stays in place. Whereas before you only really need one more, because if you look at here, the other magnet is here, so it just attaches here. But because I'm using such a tall piece to overlap, I think I might put one top and bottom. So it's actually using more magnets than I originally planned, but that's all down to what you're using really, and I'm just being guided by the piece that I'm using to cover the closure. So I'm going to use two more pluses. Oops. And two more minuses. Keeps sticking to itself in the packet. There we are. So actually the minus is already stuck to it, so I might as well leave it there. I'm going to put that here, I think, and the other one there. Take the little backing piece off. Don't think the tweezers are the best implement for this. Let's get my little craft knife out again. It's just got that slightly sharper point to slide underneath. That's it, and release it from its backing. Okay, that magnet's going to go there. And then all we have to do is then press them into place. So we take the backing off the two minuses. There we are. Okay, so we put those two magnets together, and then we'll stick these two into place. One there, and one down the bottom, and then that should be nice and secure. Okay. Just have to be careful because they're such strong magnets. It's best to just try and slide it rather than pull, especially when they've just been stuck on. Except they want to open, want to close again. So I've now got 4 magnets on, which is more than the original design had. But I think it makes sense. I don't really want this bit flopping about. So let me just check I'm actually filming. So I've turned it off and on again. Alright, so now we've done that piece, the next piece area to cover is the back outside of the folio, which is this piece here, just the back of the middle. So I'm going to, first of all I'm just going to put my paper clips out of the way. I'll try and keep my space as tidy as I can as I go along, otherwise this is going to get very messy and confusing. I'm going to keep that piece out of the way. So the piece of paper I've chosen to use for the rest of the back, not for the front of the folio, but for the other panels, the spine and the back outside and possibly outside panel. Anyway, it's this piece because it's really pretty. It's got the little spotty area which is going to be appearing, which is part of this piece, so it should all coordinate nicely. So I think what I want to do, I think I'm going to use this side for the middle back. I'm just going to mark it, make sure it's nice and straight, mark it there. Trim that off. And that will go there, and so I'm not going to give you the measurements for this because it's not exact science. You just decide how much of a border you want, and you may want a bigger border or a smaller border or go right up to the edges, so just measure these as to what makes sense for you. These, you know, it's just a case of marking it and cutting it, or you can use your tear ruler. That's definitely an option. I'm just not a very straight tearer. I've tried it and I've made a mess of it on the other one, so I am better off cutting. But a lot of people like to tear, so there's no reason why you shouldn't have a torn edge. So what I'm going to do now, I'll just turn off the camera. I'm going to ink around this piece, and I'm going to do my 3 spines, which is also going to be using some pieces from this. I'm going to measure each of the spines, and the outside panel I think I'm going to use the other end. So I think I'll measure that first and then see if I've got enough for the spines. Then I'll come back when I've stuck them all on. I think that makes the most sense because you don't need to watch me measuring and gluing. It makes that's not really going to be something you need to be watching me do. So I'm going to measure that and see if I've got enough to use of this paper for the 3 spines. When they're all glued on, I'll come back. Okay, I'm back. I've stuck down the back of the folio and the 3 spines, and I'll just remind you of the width of these spines so that you these are the spines that need to be kept, that whatever size everything else is, these spines need to be the same regardless. So this one is 1.5, this one is 1 3/8, and this one is 5/8, and it's exactly the same on the larger one I did when I followed Shelley's tutorial. So just to bear that in mind when you're creating your base folio, however big your file folder is, those spines have to be that size to make it all fit. Right, so I've done the back and the spines. Now I've also cut the piece for the front. And what I've used is the other side of this piece of paper. I thought, well, it might as well, they will go well together. I actually had to cut it twice because I messed up the first one, which is why I've had to start another piece of paper. I just didn't quite cut it wide enough because you have to allow a little bit for these magnets because they take up a little bit of space. So I think that will fit quite well there. So I'm going to just glue that one down, and then we'll do the last one, the outside panel. And actually just put a little spot of glue on each of the magnets as well. Just make sure they stick. Oop, wrong way up. Now just got to line that up, and it's all the papers have been inked as well with the Victorian velvet, I think it's called, that sort of dusky pink. Nothing about the tacky glue, you do have a bit of sliding time in case you're not quite lined it up. The magnet's quite close to the bottom here, so I might need to add a little bit of extra glue. Probably some of the art glitter glue, just to make sure it stays down along this edge. It's closer to the edge than I would have liked, but I think it's just because of the part of the lady sticking out. It needed to be down there to hold it down, otherwise it's going to flap. So I think I might just try and put a bit more glue underneath this bottom edge. How's the art glitter glue this morning? Are we coming? Are we flowing? I think we're just about coming out. Now, just have to turn it around so I can get at it. And just poke my little nozzle under there. I think we're getting a bit. Okay. I think that will be okay. There'll be a bit more, I imagine there'll be a bit more decoration just there. So the final piece to do, which I haven't glued down yet, just because I thought I'd show you how I do it to the shape. And it's very straightforward really. So I did like the same on the other side. I paper clipped the piece in. You just have to remember to measure it from the widest part, and I only say that because when I did the previous one I messed up and ended up with being a bit short on this side, because I'm not quite sure why, but I ended up measuring it so that not at the wide, over here I think, ended up with a bit short here, so I measured it from the widest part, and then all you've got to do is pin it in place and draw around this piece, and then just cut inside the draw line so that you still get that slight border. Just going to cut inside this. And then I'll just ink that piece up. So I'll be very interested to know if anybody has decided to try and craft along with me and make one of your own, and what kind of kit you've decided to use. If you're going to have a go at this, it's a really fun thing to make. There we are, that goes on there. And it doesn't take an awful lot of room on the shelf. It makes quite it's a nice idea for a gift. You know, when I've shown people, I've shown a couple of people the finished one that I made, and yeah, they're kind of like, "Ooh, this is interesting." It just goes on and on and on, and you can tuck all sorts of things inside it, ephemera pieces or little gifty things if you want to. Tuck in little photographs. whatever you want. Right. I'm just going to turn this over again. It's always good to work on a flat surface with these things, otherwise you just can't get it straight. So I'll just do that. There it is. It's about in place. Whoop, sliding. Just have to make sure it doesn't slide completely out of alignment. There we are. I think that's about right. And there is the outside of the folio. So we have a look. See how it looks when it's all folded up. I think it's quite pretty. I'm really pleased how this is going. When I knew this kit would be pretty. That goes like that. That folds in like that. And there we have it. A really pretty start to the folio. It's just very empty at the moment, but it's looking pretty nice, I think. Right, so I think the next thing will be start working on the inside. So we've done all the outside pieces, so I'll just show you. There's the back, and there's the spines on the outside. Oops, I have to be careful with this, otherwise she'll get a bit bent up, won't she? A bit bent out of shape. And there's the third spine there. And your outside panel, that is called. And then when we start on working on the inside, and we work from left to right. So we work on panel 1 first. Right, so I've just got to I'm just going to turn it off a minute and choose my papers, and then I'll be back. Okay, so I've cut my first panel piece from this sheet of rose paper, and I've just cut it to size. Done the same as before, pinned it into place. I'm just going to draw around it and cut it to shape. Let's just do that. As long as it hasn't got gunked up again. Here it comes. Whoop. I'm not quite thick at the moment, but we can spread it out. Take it right to the edges a little bit close to the edge. There we go. Hopefully that should do it. Okay, I think that's about it. About right. Okay. Right, so the next thing to do while that's drying is to make our pocket. Where's my top? There it is. So the pocket, we'll just take a piece of the cut off file folder, because so far we've only used one file folder, haven't we? So this is the piece that was cut off, and it's plenty big enough to make a little pocket. So, and you can't really make use of the file folder edge, because I want to do a little gusseted pocket. So where's my cutter? I'm going to make it I think it's going to be 3/4. No, go the other way. This will work out. 3/4 of an inch. No, 3¼ inch high. And it's going to have to be scored. So this is allowing for some scoring. And I want it 3 7/8 high. Okay. So you've got that. I'll get a little scoreboard out. And so you will end up with quite a few spare bits of file folder that can be used very nicely to make, it's because it's a nice thickness, you can do all sorts with it. You can make the tags and the pockets and all sorts with that and that is what we'll be using for some of the pieces in there. Alright, so this piece is 3 7/8 wide and 3¼ high, and then we're going to score it at 3/8 of an inch on each side. So 1, 2, 3, 3/8 of an inch that way, go around, 3/8 of an inch the other side, and then at the bottom I'm going to score it at, looking at my measurements, 1/2 inch. I don't think that went straight actually. I went a bit offline there. So there we are. 1/2 inch there. Keep that for burnishing. Alright, so cut that at a bit of an angle and an angle there, so you cut your corner off. I mean, you've seen everybody do these. And then I'm just going to do a little angle there. We've got the little tiny edge of the file folder, but actually I want to trim that off a little bit more. Get it out of the way. Okay, and then we'll just fold it end up with a pocket. That is, I'll just give you you can make your fold-in bits a bit bigger if you want to, but the actual pocket in the end is 3 and, stop sliding about ruler please, 3 1/8 wide by 2 3/4 high. And you can see how that fits into this. That will just fit nicely in there. In fact, it's too wide. How did that happen? I wonder if I've got it meant to be the other way around. Maybe it was meant to be that way around. Okay, so this is what not to do. Don't check your measurements before you do it. So let me just check the original and see how that's ended up being the wrong width, unless I've got it round the wrong way. Is this wider? So it's right on that one. Is that because my file folder is slightly different? Let me just have a look. So I am a bit confused now. This panel seems to have ended up. Oh, I didn't even realise that was narrower. This panel is narrower than this panel. Now how did that happen? I have no idea. It just goes to show, doesn't it? So that's the same size, that's all the same size. For some reason, this has ended up narrower. Well, that's interesting, and I didn't know that. So even though that is ended up, so this has ended up the same, and the depth of it is the same, and everything else seems to be the same. This panel, all this is the same, but for some reason, I'm not quite sure why. My panel here, this panel has ended up narrower. So I'm going to have to re-measure for my pocket. Well, that's an interesting turn up, isn't it? Just goes to show. Nothing's ever the same. You have to measure each one individually. So I want my pocket to be 2 3/4 wide, and this one is 3 1/8 wide. So if I do that 2 3/4, in fact that's even a bit too wide, I think I might make it 2 5/8. So I'm going to have to do a bit of remeasuring. So if we want 2 5/8 for the pocket, so we still score at the 3/8. So I've got to add on. I've got 2 5/8. Add on 3/8. 1 2 3. So it gives me 3. And then add on another 3/8 for the scoring on the other side. 1 2 3. So I end up with the full size piece of 3 3/8. 3 3/8. And then for the height, even the height seems a bit big. I want the height to be about the same. I think that's too tall, because it's not in proportion anymore, is it? So if the height at the moment is 2 3/4, if I'll make the height 2 1/2, and then I want a 1/2 inch turn up. So if I make that 3 inch, 3 inches. Okay, let's start 3 inches that way. So that's my pocket height. Doesn't even look straight. Okay, 3 inches that way, and then 3 3/8 that way. Right. Get my scoreboard in again. Right, so this is the piece of 3 3/8, so we're going to score again at 3/8 of an inch either side. It's the same process. Should end up hopefully with something that's the right size this time. Three-eighths. Whoops, keeps twisting on me. 3/8, and then add a 1/2. Okay, so we're going to cut off our little corners again. Just for those little angled pieces. That bit, and that bit. Right. fold that in, fold that in, fold that in. Just check the size. Size looks better. Hopefully I'll be able, I've got a tag that will work. It looks a little bit wonky actually. That doesn't look right, does it? Right, glue it down. I think I'll glitter glue for this because I know it's that bit stronger. There. Just hold it for a moment. Doesn't take very long to grab on this. This glue, it's very good. Right, so we have a pocket. And I'm just going to, let me just put my top on my pen. I'm going to ink around the pocket first, and then we'll cut a piece of paper to decorate from one of the other sheets. I'm going to take a piece from this because I like this little spotty piece at the bottom here. So I'm just going to mark it to where I want the width. Cut that off. And then there's my little pocket. Just going to cut that there, I think. And then I can put a little bit of little decoration on there. Cut that across there. Might put a little lace on the edge. It's only a tiny pocket, so can't overdo it, she says. As if I've ever worried about that. Right. So there's my little piece of decorative paper, just cut to size. Alright, glue this on. So if there's anything in any of these videos where I'm supposedly doing a tutorial and showing you how to make this, if there's anything that I'm not making clear, or any sizes that you need me to give you, or anything that's just, you know, just needs a bit of clarification, do let me know in the comments, and I will certainly try and clear up any questions that you have. So I have linked the original video that I saw, which is Shelley Geigel's video, and it's a tutorial. It's very clear. She gives you the measurements for everything, including for the decorative paper, which I'm not doing because I think you can kind of see how to do that. It doesn't need to be so precise. I mean, how precise are we ever going to be in this, in our junk journaling world? And I don't think it's absolutely. Sorry about that. It's my phone as usual. Yes, I'm just going to get my punch. Yeah, so if you've got any questions about any of this, please do let me know in the comments. I'll just go and grab my little punch. Well, I've got both here. I think normally I use this bigger one, but I think for this rather tiny pocket, I think this one might be a better size. Oop. Punch through both sides, both thicknesses there. Right, I'm just going to pop this on. That makes a nice contrast. No, I'm not going to use that. I'm going to use the art glitter glue again. Just feel that somehow for this kind of thing, it just seems that might be a little bit stronger. There we are. That's our little pocket. About the second time of asking. So there we are. There's the lesson. Always check your measurements in case they don't actually work out the same the second time around, or whenever you end up doing it, you think you're following the same measurements as that I may have given you, but when you're putting your pockets on, you need to measure them for the actual piece that you're working on, not for necessarily going to be the size that you think it is. Right, so all I'm going to do now is I'm going to put a little tag in here, and we'll see if I think that'll be it for today. Let's get my little box of pieces, ephemera and bits and pieces that I've cut out from the kit. And I've got my eye on this tag sitting on the top here. I'm just wondering how that'll fit. Oh, I think it fits rather perfectly. So that doesn't really need, that's already backed and everything, so that's all ready to go. I'm just going to give it that bit of coordinating ink. And I'm just going to put a little topper on. I think it's going to have to be a bit of lace, isn't it? I could have put some lace on here, but I'll put some sort of little decorative piece on the front of the... Right, so I'm just going to see what lace I can use. I want something delicate now. I've got my new bag of lace, haven't I? If you saw one of my videos, I think I did show you. And I've got a variety of bits and pieces that I picked up when I went shopping. Went to a little haberdasher's in the little town that my daughters live in. I did wonder if this might go on here somewhere. It's a little bit more lilac-y actually. When you look at the pink, it's more of a cool pink than a warm pink, so it's not really going to work after all, which is a little bit disappointing, but I have plenty of other options. I've got this beautiful lace, which actually does work really well. It's too big for this spot here, but I might find a use for it somewhere else. I've got a few. I definitely had this little folio in mind when I was picking my laces for when I was in this shop, because I've got some pink here, which might be quite pretty. Would that go? I think it might. So I'm just going to have to release it, I think. It's just been tied up with some, or stuck together with some tape. Right, so I think I might use my little, my funny little slot punch. I quite like this. Is this actually going to be... I'm wondering if this is too wide for the lace. I think it might be. Actually, the lace is a bit delicate for this one. I'm just going to use my normal... What shall I do? Shall I just do a bit of that? Okay, let me just cut a piece. Sorry, I'm muttering to myself here, trying to figure out how I'm just going to do the simplest thing, putting a bit of lace on this as a topper. Sometimes the little things seem to be take the longest to decide, don't they? Probably cut too much off now. I'm just going to use a little bit of, I think I use a little tiny tacher thingy, little staple. It's a bit floppy. Oh, I don't think I've got any staples left. Oh, goodness me. Let's have a look. Oh, I'm out of staples. Okay. Okay, so I've refilled my stapler and I've just gone ahead and stapled on this little piece of pink lace. I want to cover up the staple because I don't think it looks great on there. It's just an easier thing to do, to stick it on. So I'm just going to put one of these little pearls, I think, just on, so pale pink pearl just on the top there. I think that's what I'm going to do. So I'll just cut that off. There we are. And I'm going to use a bit of Fabri-Tac, I think, just to glue it on. Blob of Fabri-Tac, probably more than I need, but it's all good. It's all good. Right. Yeah, that's fine. Let's go on there like that. So that'll pop in like that. That looks quite sweet. And I think just to decorate this pocket, I really wanted to put one of these ladies. I think she's the only one that might possibly fit. So I'm just going to risk doing a bit of tearing here and tear around her. I've got plenty of other options if it doesn't work out, but I would like to put her on there if I can. Okay, well, I've had to do a quick change of battery. It must have been going longer than I realised because I'm going to be editing quite a lot of it out. So yes, I've had to change my battery. So I'm still tearing, carrying on tearing, my lady. Okay, that's not too bad. And will she fit? That's the question. Just about, I think. I might just tear around just. Well, no, this is where it gets a little bit dicey. Just want to take a little bit more of the surround off. Possibly a bit more off the back here. Take it carefully, because I quite like to put something behind her if there's room. So let's just gently ink around. Give her a little pink edge. And what I'd like to do, but I don't know if it'll look too much, so I'd like to put that there. And then I've got this lace. I mean, isn't it gorgeous? Probably should have got two lots of this because I just love this colour. It's a bit too big, but I'm just going to cut a piece and see if I can make it work. But the colour is perfect. I'll just pop that behind there. A little bit of this beautiful turquoise colour. My 3-year-old granddaughter already knows the word turquoise, and if you say, what's Nana's favourite colour? She says, turquoise! She knows. She's been taught already. She knows all her colours. And I mean, if I showed her that and I said, what colour's that? She'd know what it was. Okay, I'm going to put that one with a bit of, where's the fabric? There it is. Just going to swirl it around. That's about right. Should catch it down. A little bit there. It's got a little bit torn just there, I think. And for a wonder, the Fabri-Tac is working beautifully for me today. Actually, I might use it to glue her on as well as she's going onto lace. So I'll just pop her on there, I think. Right. And there we go. That's one of those lovely ladies. This is the one. This one is from the Digital Butterflies Vintage Ladies Kit, I believe. That's the name of the Etsy shop that I bought it from. Oop, don't want to get that on the lace, do I? Okay, so I think this is probably enough for today's video. I think we've done quite well. We have got, put that down there properly. We've got it all decorated on the outside. So, you're going to find this if you use paper clips, they just adhere to this because of all the magnets. So there we are, there is our file folder now decorated on the outside. So the next video will be working on panel 2. And hopefully we'll get that all done, because when you start doing those middle panels, that's when it starts to get quite a bit more, I wouldn't say complicated, there's just quite a lot of processes, you know, cutting your file folder and then covering it, then adding the envelopes and things. So that may be more than one video just to do that one panel, panel 2. We'll see how it goes. Okay, so thank you very much for joining me today. Please do join me again for the next video on making this file folder, and please do let me know if you feel like you might be joining in with me. Bye for now.